Hi crafty friends, it's Carrie here and I'm excited to share with you a card and the coloring project that I created featuring the September Club La La Land Crafts kit of the month. This kit features a lot of images and dies that are perfect for a lemonade stand. Marcy's holding a big huge bucket of lemons and we welcome the cute and adorable little mischievous mice to the mix. So I decided to create an orange juice card to welcome in the day and feature and highlight that squeeze the day sentiment, pun intended. So I'm just going to show you how I planned out my color scheme for these little critters, as well as color a few of the little mice for you. So sit back, enjoy. So like I said, I started out by coloring this little guy. He didn't have a dark black nose. He's the only critter with a hollow nose. So I colored his nose in with the C7 right before I got started with the rest of the coloring. I used the colorless blender just a tad on some areas. RV000 for a hint of pink, C0, C1, W3 for a little rustic look, and C7 again for the nose. I also used the white Jelly Roll pen. For the lemons and the lemonade and the orange, of course, I used G24, YG41, YG13, YR65, Y15, Y35, and Y11. So let me get started with the coloring. I'm going to start out with the little lemonade guy because I think that's the one I wanted to use on the card, my first card. So I start out with C1. It's a little darker than C0, and it helps to create just that hint of shadow along the inside edge of his body, as well as some of the corners on his body. Just a little bit of color, not too much. All right, so next up I'm pulling out the W3. I'm going to use this just to give him a little bit more character. He looks like he's not so perfectly clean and crisp like the C colors usually bring to life. So I think it kind of brings him a little bit more character just to add that little hint of shadow using the W colors. So again, this is W3, just hinting at some of the color. Barely there, but it's a good color to bring in some realistic tone to him. All right, so now I'm coming back in to use the C0 as a blending medium. Just color over the top of each one just to blend the colors together. I use this quite often. This is one of my go-to colors to blend. Just adding a little bit of gray tone to them and just mixing those colors together. So relaxing to just sit and color. You can spend all day doing it. I'm leaving that center portion quite light so that I can come back in and add a little pink to his belly. I'll add a little bit of gray, but most of the color will be for the pink that will come in. So you just saw me go over that little white spot a little bit, but it's not as dark as it appears in the screen. All right, so putting that C0 back, and I'll bring out the C1 again just to pull out some more of that highlighting, or excuse me, that shadowing. All right, next up is that pink. I just want to give him a hint of cuteness by adding a few spots of pink for his skin that's peeking through his fur. It won't show up a lot, but if you look closely when you receive the card, you get a hint of little rosy pink on there. So I really like to add that. I pushed the color pink back into the paper a little bit with the C0 as well, so it doesn't stand out on the top layer of the card or the image. It just kind of gives a little hint of pink. Love it. All right, so like I said, I'm going to use that 0 to just push back that pink color and make it barely there. All right, next step is the final step, and I'll just add a few hints of the Jelly Roll White here and there on the image. I'm going to be adding some highlighting on the top edges where the light might be, as well as just a few character spots here and there. Little whisker marks. And of course, I'm going to give them a little belly button. Just a hint. It'll fade down a little bit more as time goes by too, so it's not as bright white. Just a little hint of a belly button. All right, so there he's finished. Now I'm going to move on to the cup. Starting out with the lemon colors so that it can kind of mix well with the theme of the stamp set. But I'm going to turn this into an orange juice, cup of orange juice, by adding a little darker yellows, some darker yellows to it. All right, so that was yellow 35, I think. Let me see. Started out with yellow 1, yellow 11, and yellow 35, and then yellow 15. There's yellow 35. Now it's starting to turn it into the orange juice that I want it to be. The final yellow is a little bit darker. It has a hint of red in it. Yellow red 65 coming in. That will help bring the orange juice out and darken up some of the edges of the cup and the juice towards the inside of his body. All right, now I'm going to use that light yellow again to blend in everything and then move into the straw. Yum, yum, you get YG13 for the straw. Bring back that yellow 11 just to add some blending to the color. There are a few dots in there that I didn't like, so I wanted to go over them to blend them in. And there he's finished. Take a closer peek. He's a cutie, cutie, cutie. All right, now I'll move on to the next image. That's the one with the lemon, just to show you a side by side. Aren't they adorable? Such cute characters. And now I'll move on to the last mouse, who is holding a lemonade sign, using the same colors. C0 first, just a little shadowing. This is a quick sketch now, coloring very quickly on this last image, not having to worry too much now that I've planned all the colors out. I can just go very quickly to finish the coloring. Moving on to C1. And then moving on to C0 one more time just to blend things together. Oh, and I changed my mind. I think I'll go for the W3, just to give them a little punch of color. Rough them up a little bit. A few dots here and there, just to give them some scrappy marks. And I'll blend us all in after I'm finished with the C0. And then come back in with that pink just to give them a little character, RV000. On the top of his nose, his cheeks, some of his ears, and his tummy. A few spots on his arms and tails too, but primarily on those facial portions in his belly. And then blending it, pushing it back a little bit more using the blending of that C0 again. Very, very faint pink. That's all I want. I'm just blending some of those darker W colors into his feet. And there he is. Now I'll move on to the sign. Oh, just a little bit of jelly roll marking first. Hints of white here and there, just to finish him off and add a little character. Of course, I had to add another belly button and this little guy and some light on the feet. All right, so now we're going to move on to the little sign that he's holding. I'm going to turn it into a yellow and with a little bit of an ombre green around the edges, blended really nicely. So I'm going to start out with the YG41 just to color the stick of his sign. And then I'm going to move on to the light yellow, just a little bit of the green G24 along the edge. That will be blended in with my yellow that I will be pulling out in just a second. And it'll blend perfectly. So Y11 is going to be the lightest yellow, still in line with the same color theme and color scheme that I was using before, the lemonade. Blend, blend, blend. Push it back, push it back. If I go over the lines, I typically use, when it bleeds, if I go over the lines, if I'm blending too much, I typically use the jelly roll pen to cover up some of that bleed over. So towards the top of his nose and towards that corner of his ears, there was a little bit of bleed, so I just covered it up using some of that jelly roll pen. You don't see it now, but I did that off camera. Just adding a few highlights here and there to the sign. Just gives it a little bit more dimension, I think. All right, so there he is, zooming in so you can see him. Isn't he adorable? I can't wait to use all these critters. So if you take a peek right here, you can see that I colored and I incorporated some of the cutest elements to this card. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this coloring play with me or watch with me, and I'll be back again another day to be able to share another coloring and another card making project with you featuring this fun new kit. Thank you. Bye-bye.